Welcome back. We're here to do the Divine Feminine update. I'm hoping that the noise in the background won't come through. I currently have a neighbour who's renovating, and yes, we are recording this during Mercury's shadow, so let's hope this month goes according to plan. Now, if you do want this content ahead of the crowd, yes, I do have the next edition out in the members. You are welcome to come join us. We also have In the Dark super chats, as well as Discord, where all the members directly can communicate, and coaching also occurs within the platform. I'm really seeing this update for the Divine Feminine as a very interesting one, and we always were quite apprehensive, especially from an astrological point of view, of April being quite a large transitional point, especially with the eclipse of the 8th. Mercury retrograde as of the 1st. So we can feel like we're going backwards. I'm noticing from the crowning energy already coming through that, it's almost like we're looking to our angels. Our guides can be giving us some updates and guidance. And, especially with any new chapter, we initially will get the download. And these things can be coming through the month prior. And I know, especially for me as a Divine Feminine, I was getting some downloads about new chapters, new cycles. There was a reluctance, although, to jump into it, especially from a spiritual point of view, because sometimes there's missing information, and sometimes, especially on our twin flame path, we have these upgrades. Our body is going through a transformation, and we are trying to look at the factors involved, especially with Mercury retrograde, that sometimes, especially in the same kind of energy, we spiritually feel we're going backwards to go forwards. Now, this can be a frustrating time, and I'm seeing Divine Feminine. I do actually feel you guys are getting some intuitive downloads, and it can be if you're dealing with very, what would I say, illicit dreams, some very dreams that are very profound can be coming through. I'm also seeing psychic energies can be transforming, but I do feel your guides could be giving you synchronistic messages. And sometimes, we know it in our subconscious mind. We also feel that we need to give situations to Gaia because we're feeling spiritually that some of those things are out of our control. I'm hearing the term temperance, and it may mean that we do need to be the term I'm getting is patience, having to have patience with ourselves during these transitions. We may have a direction, and I'm noticing from the first row, we're wanting to jump in a particular direction, and it could be that we're feeling we're going one direction, but we could end up inevitably going down another. Now, why could this be so? I feel a lot of you have, especially in the past position, we have 21, which is a Trinity energy. It drops down to a 3. And the card states the right way. Learning to create what you desire. Now, we do know within our power we can create what we desire. But I'm noticing how there's a frog on the card. And, who we give our crown to, do we have the crown? Do they have the crown? Is it a perfect suit? Is it a perfect match, especially in the context of our twin flame path? We may have chosen that individual in previous incarnations, and we have a soul contract with them. We also could be really purging a previous cycle of other individuals in our life, and there's something that we're letting go of, but we're really looking at where we're going from here. So I feel you have this belief that something needs to be done in a particular way, but you have learnt lessons of the past. Now you're resisting the temptation for anything that is quite surface level. I feel you also could want things that are quite deep. There is a risk, however, because of the Aries placement, is that this devil energy can kind of crop up again. And this can be our shadow self. It can be, how would I place it? How could this come through? It can come through in a myriad of ways. Now, number one is we may be reluctant to indulge in certain things. We could be very, very aware of our emotions and how we're wanting to express them. And some of them can be quite toxic. Some of them can cause aggression and frustration. However, I feel that you've learned something in the past, and this is quite a key to how you're moving forward, especially with the 2 previous eclipses. So what I'm psychically being shown is how you're proceeding forward in your life. we can spiritually feel as though we are a deer in the woods. I'm also feeling as though with this, you're jumping forward knowing the information you knew of the past, but you also know that there's variables moving forward with the steps you're about to take. And some of them are making you quite anxious. Some of them can be like, well, okay, I know the variables of the past, but I don't necessarily know the variables of the future. Am I in fact safe here? And it's almost ushering you to trust your instincts and to jump forward. And there's a lot of apprehension here. This can be to do with mortality. It can be fear-based frequency coming up. I'll read the card. 4, 5, 6. Okay, this can be, yeah, it's like you're trying to look at something of protectiveness. So you can feel, is this going to be a safe situation? What is the cause and effect going to be in this circumstance? If I jump in, is it, what else is going to come up? Life is brief, bright, beautiful, and yours to live. And I feel from a point of view, sometimes when we're fearing things, we're not actually living. And we're looking at those very realities of what is holding us back from a spiritual point of view. And some of them, a lot of things can actually be subconscious. It can be, what if we're rejected? What if we're misunderstood? What if a karmic cycle starts again? What if I'm not successful? And these things aren't going to just link to your twin flame path, although they do block your twin flame path, especially with Aries and Chiron. So I do see spiritually for divine feminine, we are facing our fears. We're looking at these things. We're an acknowledgement of them. We're weighing the pros and cons. We have spiritually learnt lessons of the past. I do see the foundation of this situation is there is a frustration. When we hear the term patience, sometimes it's patience that we directly need to have with ourselves, with the process. This also can be with other people and situations. This also can be a sudden change that you decide to make because you're feeling it's overdue. And that also from an intuitive point of view with the axis of both eclipses we had, sometimes you can be ahead of the crowd and that's okay too. So if you're guided to during this Mercury retrograde to make a decision, to take an action, providing you are aware of the past and you are detached of the future, but know the necessary changes you need to make, I think you will make a decision prior to Mercury going direct. Yeah, this is sudden change. This is a decision to draw a line in the sand. This can be making these bold changes. We have healing in reverse and entrapment in reverse. And I feel it's like you spiritually are going to know, especially if your guide's coming through and saying, hey, hang on a minute. We want to liberate you from this situation. We want to transform it. I do think this renewal, whatever you're shredding down, whatever you're throwing out, whatever you're discarding, the old way you were being, this is a very bold rebirth for divine feminine. I do see this as a very positive thing. I'm going to pull some clarifiers. I want to see if there's anything hidden that we don't know about in the context of the entirety of the read. Okay. Definitely feel with your guides. They're protecting you. We'll go into, I'll watch the card says. First thing I get is very psychic. Your angels guiding and protecting you on your spiritual journey. We can really feel at times, look, do they have our back? And I do think they do. Sometimes our guides do need permission. So it can be if you're feeling that you're struggling with the circumstance that you directly need to ask for their assistance and support. Okay, what additional messages do the divine feminines need to know during this transitional stage, please, with the angels? Some of you are feeling they're not communicating with you. Look, some of them are kind of showing you that there's a change in a dynamic. This can be with a friendship group, but again, it's almost like your guides are communicating with you, but they're going to come through in a very personal way. If you are in the 3D quite a bit, you will find that you can't hear your guides. This can be when you're feeling like a rat in a cage going in circles. I also feel this is to do with your twin flame. But there also can be some other circumstances playing out. There is an old situation that's cropping up. It could feel that you know what you're needing to transform and to shift. And they're definitely saying own your own inner masculine. The funny thing is, when we do look at Mars in a feminine's birth chart, there's quite an important key to navigating this eclipse cycle. And although we would have already had the eclipse, moving through for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, you're going to be working through this Aries zone, right? Now, when we look to Aries, it is the first house placement. It's the place of self. It is also Mars, which does directly link to masculine energies. And inside a feminine's chart, in their birth chart, it's what we would need in another person, but it's what we need to bring about in ourselves. And it's funny because that's where our wound lies. So, could be quite key. Go on AstroSeek, take a look and see wherever you have Aries or whatever zodiac sign you have, Mars activating, that's going to give you some key things to do spiritual work on so that you're not seeking outside yourself and you're integrating it. Because once it no longer defines you and you find it inside yourself, it's no longer going to impact your twin flame path. Okay, there is a shift here. There's a big lesson and there has been some changes. Okay, there can be some surprises that do come from resisting temptation. There also can be some surprises with changes. Some people can be surprised at this coming through quite suddenly. This can be within your own life or the people around you. Okay, what are you having to leap in? It feels as though somebody's coming in. There can be some unfinished business. This can be a person of the past or your twin flame. Okay, what fares is... I can't say collectively because it is going to come up collectively, but it is going to be individually. That's why I mentioned your chart. Oh, okay. Mind over matter situation. You're going to need to be very careful about getting up in your head. It's important to manage the thoughts. It could be a great time to journal. This can actually give you a PDF of what is spiritually blocking you. Some of you could be experiencing headaches and burnout. I'm seeing a lot of purple. I do feel you're spiritually protected, but there's apprehension. There also could be something that you want to speak. Again, I keep hearing cause and effect. I do feel your divine masculine is thinking about you quite a bit. They also intuitively are letting go of a cycle. If you are feeling this person is living the dream, they also are going through a huge spiritual transformation. And this is one of those months that we can see a lot of masculines reacting in very obscure ways or really dealing with their energy source in a very unique way. Now, even though it is Mercury, we can find things speed up, but our fatigue levels are going to be there. So, as with and as without, be very gentle with yourself. Try to keep your fluid up, divine feminine, but psychically you can be picking up on a lot. There is a potential of projection, and I'm seeing this leap of faith that you're taking into your future. It's actually going to benefit you, but you're going to need to trust your instincts and your psychic downloads of what you're picking. Okay, I'm also hearing less is more. Oh, there's a huge liberation for divine feminine. Huge liberation happening. This is going to happen quite quickly. Okay, there could be a tower moment for a karmic energy. I definitely see divine feminine rising like the phoenix. Okay, whatever this crossroad is that you're going to come up against this month, they're saying that you're going to be able to rise like the phoenix, but you're going to need to listen to your guides. You're going to need to, it's asking, how flexible are you? How flexible are you to pivot, to move around obstacles, to move, behind, above, over? They're asking you to be flexible and intuitive, and this is what's going to protect you. Some of you could get, well, you got the reunion card. Some of you could get, and that actually can be quite a good sign. There's a potential a karmic could try and reach out to you. We're going to get into divine masculine read to see what's coming through for them. Come over and take a look at the masculine so that we can directly check in with their energy. From a spiritual point of view, what I definitely am seeing from yours, especially with the outcome card, is there could be some challenges that come up, but I think your guides are well and truly warning you ahead of time. In your own personal life, the changes that you're making are quite instinctual. You could be tuning into apprehension. You definitely spiritually can be tuning into an ending and some insecurities that your TF could be having. You may need to protect yourself with amethyst. If you are feeling fatigued and you're going through a bit of a detox, I would use citron. I do feel be aware of your surroundings, and definitely any changes you feel you need to make, even if Mercury is not direct, you may be initiating them earlier on in the piece. And I do feel like your communication skills are, you could be pondering something that you're about to say, some action you're about to do. By trusting your instincts on how to do it, I think it's going to serve you best. Don't be scared of the outcome, especially if no matter what angle you're looking at, the outcome is going to be, the outcome could be anything. And you could be very, almost like you're mulling over in your mind. If I do this, this is what the outcome's going to be. I'm just looking at this card and, her eyes are blue, her lips are blue. The mortality card. You have to be honest to yourself of what your needs are. And there's a bit of shadow work here. There's a bit of apprehension. I feel you're going to pause before you do what you need to do. But I feel in doing such, you're honoring yourself and you're letting go of the control. You're allowing nature to take its course. And this is what's going to go in your favor. I feel you're confronting your fears. You're addressing the elephant in the room. And you're being brutally honest with the circumstance. And because of that, you're having the change. We will get into the Divine Masculine Read update. We also do cover the karmic. If you want to come through and take a look, I'd love to have you. Otherwise, stay tuned for a joint connection that is hosted over the weekend each week. See you soon.